of funding by the state. And yes, this conversation on funding definitely will also be bringing specialists and also those ones that work in this very sector so that they can help us unpack this and get to understand some more, as students are encouraged to find out where they have been placed. And this is basically it, the Shakahola probe. We have also looked at it. Kindiki, 20 mass grave found in Kilifi. That is more. And of course, more bodies were recovered in Shakahola cult. That is land as police hunted for Mackenzie's associates. This is the second phase of, just getting into understanding what really played out, and that is the Shakahola grounds. And we'll definitely be here to give you more updates in relation to whether there's going to be more bodies that will be exhumed. From 2 students shot dead in Kisumu, we have also touched on that already. And like I have said, some of these things we also want to go to the level of the counties and see what is their learning fields to take off as flood victims camp in classes. This also is quite unfortunate, even as we have our students go back to school, home swamped. At least 6 feet are dead as heavy rains leave trail of havoc. And we're reminded to be careful on these tough times where the rains are quite hard. The cartoon edition, Monday Mano, or well, we'd want to call it Mandamano or something. It's quite interesting. Look at the faces of Kalonzo Musyoka there, Ruto on this other side. Is Right Honorable Raila Odinga as well. There's that aspect of his face there as they have the sufurias on top of their heads, just to say the clock is ticking. And if you are not going to have the conversation as we wish for it to be had, then I'm afraid we're going to hit the streets again. Who is taking Baba or time? This is the question that is there. Perhaps the biggest story that we'll be discussing this morning, just to get the view of the gentleman in relation to what is likely to play out, whether the conversation begins, and for what interest or whose interest will it be about. Can't African leaders solve their own problems? That also is the biggest question that has been there for the longest of time. Some blaming the African Union for failing to address these key matters in relation to the problems of Africa. We've not been able to address our very own problems. Sometimes we have to go to seek, intervention at the ICC and other, global institutions to help us address our very own problems. Certainly one thing that, is a big problem. Major tribes lead in composition of police service. It's quite interesting also. Populous Kikuyu community with hegemony over Kenya's social strata dominant in law enforcement with 18,000. And also, this question of appointments, we have seen many asking just what is the criteria of getting some individuals on board, some complaining of the question of tribalism and nepotism as well. But then again, it's a conversation that is still on. We'll definitely be getting more updates as we get to see just who are these individuals that will sit in specific key positions in the country. Influx of wild birds at Homa Bay, and of course attracting tourists, also quite an interesting one. The county government of Homa Bay is now keen on marketing the site to improve tourism earnings, and we are constantly reminded to take advantage of local tourism. Nairobi boasts feels pinch as benchmark index dips. That also is there. Kibs moves to save a fragrant at basmati rice, and there is so much that is playing out in the county level. I was trying to see whether we'd get to the international scene. Yes, Nigeria poll petition tribunal resumes. The 5-member panel led by Justice Haruna Sanami held its inaugural sitting on Monday, countering that win of the president, that is President-elect Bola Tinubu, and will be seeking to see what plays out in relation to that, whether they counter successfully or the petition then will be quashed for the country to proceed to enjoy the leadership of Tinubu. Opposition coalition in Republic of Congo holds a first convention. It's not all rosy as well in the Republic of Congo, and perhaps that is what informs the question, just what do African leaders need to do to make sure that they speak to the issues of Africa and address them as should be expected. Israel strikes Gaza, killing 13 people, including 4 children. And also, let's remind ourselves of the conversation that we've had between Kenya and Israel, and these bilateral talks that are bound to bring so much so in relation to benefiting that country as well as us. But then again, on this side, Israel has carried out a series of strikes on Gaza, killing at least 13 people and cladding 3 members of the Palestinian Islamic Jihad. This has been going on, but then again, we certainly hope that the same could be addressed. There's so much that is happening the global fraternity. I'll be here to keep you up to tabs. And Senegal Sonko election bid in serious doubt as well. Election is the biggest problem of Africa, if not the global fraternity, and especially when it comes to trust on the electioneering bodies or the election bodies, those ones that oversee or, just steer the election processes. On the Standard newspaper, briefly, the front page, Ruto, this is my problem with Uhuru Kenyatta, backstabber. President in a candid forward in the book for the record opens up on where the rain started beating his relationship with the former president and why he thinks it all went south. Remember, the former president has constantly said that, there was so much that he would speak about his deputy then that got them, going different directions, but he never came out to clearly speak to this matter, leaving Kenyans with speculations as to what really could have informed, the breaking of this kind of bromance that we all witnessed. I never thought that President Kenyatta, the man I had campaigned wholeheartedly for in 2013 and 2017, could turn around and stick a sharp knife in my back. That is according to President William Ruto. And such is politics, such then is friendship, say, for the record. Interesting books. I mean, it's been a season of books from these leaders, and so this by Eden Dwalin might be quite interesting a read. Shakahola mystery deepens as 21 bodies exhumed. There you can see how state will pick students for varsity funding. A story captured on page 7, as I've told you. We'll also be getting education stakeholders, and we get updates on that. Sudan war takes toll on Khartoum, a story that has been captured on the world page, that is page 28. It's not all good in Sudan, but we all hope that the leadership and most importantly the global fraternity will come in to intervene and make sure that this war then is quelled. Mustafa, I'll do what it takes for sake of family. Well, star singer says life has given him lemons and he has no option but to try and get lemonade out of it. It's quite a sorry situation, but we certainly hope that he gets off the hook of difficulty. And yes, that is the front page of the Standard newspaper. Briefly, the front page of the Daily Nation. And yes, the front page, Jubilee was Kega cancels Uhuru's meeting. This also is quite interesting, as faction allied to President Ruto suspends special delegates convention called by rival group allied to former president, as well as Secretary General Jeremiah Kioni. A story captured on page 10. It's been an evident, clear split between the members of the Jubilee party. We can only follow on this kind of drama so that we get to understand just who then carries the day. At the end of the day, we've witnessed this over time. There was that breakage of the original Jubilee that brought to the fore the Tanga side. There was that also of Ford Kenya, where then the others broken to form DAP Kenya, and here we still have the Ford Kenya side that is led by Moses Wetangulans. I mean, it's basically what we see, the question of politics, but this is interesting because then it involves the former president, and perhaps many would have expected for him to have retired from active politics. So we'll be following up shortly, or I know just to keep you up to tabs in relation to the same of the developments. 23 counties to benefit from project which will now delay because of the setback. That is KEMSA caught up in a new 4 billion scandal. What could be informing this? What are the nitty-gritty details of it? The questions. KEMSA has bungled a multi-million shilling tender that is for the supply of treated mosquito nets that were intended to help millions of low-income households present malaria, forcing the Global Fund to cancel the agency's procurement process that seemed flawed in favor of Abidam, who then did not meet mandatory requirements, the expense of an actual net manufacturer. Story captured on page 7. We'll certainly be here to get updates and keep you up to tabs. I'm sure our health reporter, that is Zain, will be following up closely for us to get the developments of the same. Church on trial. State starts clamp down on preachers, and we'll be following up closely as well to see whether then this will bring some aspect of sanity in relation to these rogue individuals that would, go out there and claim to hold churches as well as, to be religious. religiously right, but then in real sense are not doing what it is that the good books then would speak of. A police bullet cuts short life girl that is in Kisumu, the 19-year-old girl who was heading to school. It's quite unfortunate as well. A developing story will be here to keep you up to tabs. Allow us to shelve the papers for a moment and look at the stories prepared by my team. The second phase of the exhumation exercise, that is at Shakahola Forest in Kilifi County, has uncovered 21 more bodies from the 9 graves and believed to be victims of a suspected starvation cult. The total number of bodies recovered from the forest now stands at 133. Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kitali Kindiki has warned that the government might exhume more bodies in the Shakahola Forest as the exhumation exercise resumes. Oigi William reports.
The ongoing tragedy at Shakahola Forest continues to shock Kenyans and the rest of the world. In the latest development, 21 more bodies were exhumed from 9 graves in Kilifi County, where it is believed that hundreds of victims of a suspected starvation cult were buried. The second phase of the exhumation exercise began on Tuesday, bringing the total number of dead bodies recovered from the forest to 133. Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kitali Kindiki, who oversaw the launch of the phase 2 of the exhumation exercise in the forest, had earlier on warned that the numbers could be more and the process could take longer.
I am afraid that we have many more graves in this forest, and therefore it leads us to conclude that this was a highly organized crime.
Coast Regional Commissioner Rhoda Onyancha has confirmed that 566 people, some of whom are suspected to have been members of the cult, have been reported missing by their families.
And the process goes on tomorrow. We've also been doing, the postmortem was done, and we've been taking DNA samples. So 93 families have given out their samples.
In a glimmer of hope, 5 people were rescued on Tuesday, bringing the total number of those rescued so far to 68. Kindiki has reiterated that security personnel will comb the expansive Chakama Ranch, which is already zoned out as an active security operation zone. The Interior CS terming the Shakahola cult deaths as a highly organized crime.
Unfortunately, it is turning out that what we have here in Shakahola is one of the worst tragedies our country has ever known.
It is during the return of Kindiki that the media, together with other interested parties, were granted access to the area.
If we can't control, we might end up with images that give rise to legal consequences, not only for the media houses, but for the government of Kenya. But we have nothing to hide, completely nothing to hide.
The self-proclaimed Pastor Paul Mackenzie and 17 other co-accused persons remain in custody, with the prosecution seeking a further 90 days to allow for completion of investigations. The prosecutors made the plea before Shanzu Local Principal Magistrate Yusuf Abdallah Shikanda last Friday on the grounds that the 18 suspects might interfere with investigations and come into harm's way upon release. Oigi William, TV 47.
In the same breath, the Judicial Commission of Inquiry that was appointed to probe the Shakahola deaths has been sworn in. The mandate of the Commission of Inquiry will be to investigate the deaths, torture, inhumane and degrading treatment of members and other persons linked to the Good News International Church in Kilifi County. Flora Libuki with that.
So help me God.
President William Ruto sworn in the Justice Lesate-led commission to investigate the Shakahola deaths. The commission of inquiry was appointed by President Ruto through a Gazette notice on May 5th. Lady Justice Jessie Lesate is to chair the commission together with 7 other members, including Lady Justice Mary Kasango, Eric Gumbo, Bishop Catherine Mutua, and Jonathan Lodumpui.
Daunting task. It is no easy task, but we shall do it to the best of our ability, even as we have taken an oath before God I declare that we shall do our best.
For us to be here today in this double-pronged intervention, we must underscore the weight of this issue. And so I have no doubt that the Kenyan people who are looking up to us to deliver for them.
This comes amid an uproar by a section of church leaders who say they were not involved in the process of constituting the commission. They now want President William Ruto to revoke the appointment of the commissioners to give space for more inclusion.
So the membership will determine the results of the task force. And if we are not included, then we can judge mapema tuseme tunaona kwamba outcome haitakuwa sawa. Tunaomba tuhusishwe, kuwe na majadiliano ya kutosha ili ya kwamba hayo mambo yakifanyika tuwe tunasonga pamoja.
Serikali iko na machinery ya kutosha ya kuchunguza mambo quietly kwa bila kuinua the anxiety of the society. You don't need to raise the societal anxiety. Do your work silently. And the first thing we are recommending strongly, the government should only ensure every pastor belongs to an umbrella body.
Azimio la Umoja leader Raila Odinga yesterday challenged in court President William Ruto's decision to form the Commission on Shakahola Cult Deaths. Florally Muki, TV 47.
And as exhumation of bodies, that is from Shakahola and Kilifi County, entered second phase Tuesday, police in neighboring Kwale County have rescued more than 200 people, among them 50 children, in a forest in Vumbu village, allegedly participating in extremely religious activities. Police also arrested a 23-year-old self-proclaimed prophetess, as Joyce Mkumbi of Rainbow Faith Ministries, which split from the main SDA Church of Vumbu. Among the requirements of the religion is that they were required to pray 3 times a day and 3 times a night without missing a beat. Micah Gungu with that.
The ongoing government crackdown on suspicious religious activities has led authorities to a church in Kwale County, where more than 200 people were found in a forest allegedly practicing extreme religious activities. The Rainbow Faith Ministries Church, located in a forested area, is said to be home of its hundreds of believers and the extended family of its leader, Mzee Mdata Nyamawi.
Wameacha nyumba zao, hasa hama jirani zetu karibu sana pale, waache manyumba yao waje kwa Mdata. Na Mdata tunajua ana watu 29.
Sasa tukafanya kuhubiriwa, nasi tukajua ukweli, fadhali wengi kwa kanisa ndio kwenye usalama.
Hiyo ndio kazi ambayo ilituleta hapa rasmi, ambayo Mungu mwenyewe aliagiza watu wakusanyike mahali pamoja tuweze kufanya kazi yake.
Police reportedly rescued the followers, among them 50 children, before arresting their church leader, 23-year-old self-proclaimed prophetess Joyce Mkumbi. Rainbow Faith Ministries reportedly split from the main SDA Church of Vumbu.
Imani yangu kama Waadventista wa Sabato, tunaamini kwamba manabii walikuwepo. Hata kuna mama Ellen White ambaye alitumwa na Mwenyezi Mungu akafunuliwa mambo mengi tu sana.
Ni kweli kuna wengine waliacha mabwana wakakuja hapa na watoto, na sieti ndio ilikuwa ni chanzo cha kwa wakosane, walikuwa na migogoro hata before wakuje hapa.
Na chenye ambacho tulikuwa tunafanya ni kuhubiri ujumbe wa malaika watatu, ambao unaposoma katika maandiko matakatifu ni kwamba ni kumcha Mungu tu na kutukuza.
According to congregants, the church doctrine has been teaching them to leave their homes and stay at a makeshift center in the forest to strictly adhere to its teachings. Some of the congregants are said to have left home profile jobs in big companies to go and stay there to worship and do manual labor.
Wache kazi ya 50,000 uje uze mchanga kwa tani moja kwa siku na 300 na mtu ana family.
Wamefanya kutoka makwao wanakuja kusanyika hapa. Daktari ameeleza kabisa na wametii, tunashukuru wameondoka. Hata vile ukiona saa hizi hakuna mtu yuko hapa.
Tuliwaona watu wengi zaidi ya 100. Alafu tukachukua grupu kwamba wale wenyeji wa hapa ni wangapi, lakini tukaona kwamba hao wenyeji wa boma hili tulipata watu 29. Ndio original Mdata's family.
All the members of the church believe the words of whom they say is their 23-year-old prophet Joyce Mkumbi of the end times that require people to gather and worship together every day. Msambweni Deputy County Commissioner Lotia Kipkech said authorities have dispersed the congregation on security and health grounds. He said a probe is underway into claims that there are minors in the church who are being advised to quit schooling.
Kwa sababu utakuta kule wale watoto walikuwa hapa, wengine walikuwa hapa bila idhini ya wazazi wao, wengine wamepotoshwa, wanaambia mkutane mahali hapa, wengine wanaambia mambo ya skuli, mkiwa hapa mambo ya skuli hakuna haja mambo ya skuli.
This comes weeks after embattled Pastor Paul Mackenzie was arrested for allegedly forcing his followers to fast to death in order to meet their creator in paradise. Mike Kagwongo, TV 47, Nairobi.
Now, the Mombasa Law Court is set to deliver a ruling on Monday regarding the state's request to freeze Pastor Ezekiel Odero's bank accounts from another 30 days or for another 30 days. Prosecutors argue that the accounts have been receiving large transactions that may lead to the radicalization of his church followers to give up their possessions in anticipation of the end of the world. Meanwhile, the defense team was granted permission to allow the New Life Prayer Center to resume its operations and religious services, as Paul Muniu details.
Is not only embarrassing.
Pastor Ezekiel Odero's defense team has once again reiterated their client's innocence regarding the money laundering allegations and claims of radicalizations, allegations that have been linked to the Shakahola Massacre in Kilifi and which have left many Kenyans in shock. So far, many of the bank accounts linked to Pastor Ezekiel have been frozen, including those from the Kilifi International School. Prosecutors have requested for an extension of 30 days to freeze Pastor Ezekiel Odero's bank accounts, citing the need to investigate allegations of money laundering, multiple bank accounts, and the potential trading of human organs. The move is also aimed at helping prosecutors determine why the pastor's accounts have been receiving huge transactions and whether there is any link to the recent Shakahola Massacre in Kilifi. The request comes after autopsy results revealed that several bodies exhumed from Shakahola were missing organs, leading to suspicions of organ trading.
None of those bodies have missing parts. But when the state wants to reply to our application in court, they sneak in those arguments that there were body parts missing from some of the people. Ask yourself, if the state can contradict itself in such a situation, do they have good intentions?
On the other hand, the defense team suggests that the preacher is being subjected to unfair persecution, claiming that few individuals are after his property.
Ezekiel alichonacho hajaibia mtu yeyote, hajanyang'anya mtu yeyote sababu ya utajiri wake. Na mkumbuke kwamba swala nyeti, je, mwisho wa kitendawili hiki ni kipi? Ni kumezea mate zile project ziko pale, kisha zikachukuliwa zikafanywa mali ya mtu binafsi. Tunaangazia.
However, they have refuted claims that the pastor's arrest and questioning are ongoing due to political affiliation.
I represent one arm of the political formation called Azimio as the advocate. He is a Kenya Kwanza diehard. Hapa ni kazi. Kokonewera, sisi tunafanya kazi.
The Mombasa Law Court will give out its ruling over applications to review court orders on freezing Pastor Ezekiel's bank accounts on Monday, while his prayer center is now open for resumption of religious services. Paul Muniu, TV 47, Mombasa.
And former Sitam Bishop, that is David Ogende, has been sworn in as the new chair of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC, at the Supreme Court. He will serve a single term of 6 years. And in his speech, Ogende promised to build on the work of his predecessors, work closely with both the state and non-state actors, and involve citizens in the fight against corruption. The EACC has been criticized in the past for being ineffective, but Oginde is determined to change that. Chief Justice Martha Koome has urged Oginde to tackle corruption with courage and determination. Oginde is taking on this role at a time when there have been numerous complaints about corruption in public offices. Paul Kirubi with more.
Been appointed chairperson of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, do swear that I will at all times obey, respect, and uphold the Constitution of Kenya.
After being sworn in as the new chairperson of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission at the Supreme Court, former Sitam Bishop David Oginde is now the man to watch at the helm of EACC. For the period of 6 years he will be serving at the commission. Oginde has promised to double the efforts more than his predecessor Bishop Eliud Wabukala, who served in the commission for a term of 6 years before his retirement early this year.
There is no doubt that this is the one thing that we must work at taming, if not eradicating, if this country is to join the League of Developed Nations. Whereas I do not want to be presumptuous of what it will take to tackle this menace, I intend to build on the efforts of my predecessors, especially our immediate former chairman, Archbishop Eliud Wabukala.
With corruption being one of the biggest challenges the country is facing, even after the new leadership took oath of office, Bishop Oginde pledged to strengthen the anti-corruption interventions and form strategic partnerships to address the root cause of corruption. Early this year in State House, the Control of Budget Margaret Nyakango complained of corruption happening in government offices, even after President William Ruto promised to cut budget in some ministries due to cash crunch.
I want to assure the country of my personal commitment to provide leadership in the formulation of effective anti-corruption strategies and promotion of ethics, integrity, and good governance through working closely with the actors in the justice sector. And I want to appreciate the efforts that are being made by Your Honor, the Chief Justice.
The judiciary led by the Chief Justice Martha Koome has been experiencing tough times when it comes to cases of corruption brought before courts, with Koome now pledging to work with the new EACC boss to reduce corruption.
The judiciary and other actors in the justice chain will work with you because we are committed to working closely and supporting the EACC to deliver on the mandate. I believe that together we can make a difference in transforming our country for the better. I also appeal to all Kenyans to support EACC and you, the chairperson, in all the efforts that you put together to combat corruption and promote ethical conduct in our society.
In March this year, President William Ruto forwarded Oginde's name as the nominee for the EACC position to the National Assembly for consideration. The nomination followed a competitive recruitment process by the Public Service Commission. 14 candidates had expressed interest in the position. Paul Kirubi, TV47, Nairobi.
Now, the Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentist Union, KMPDU, has threatened to go on strike if the government does not employ the over 4,000 unemployed doctors, and due to the delayed posting and payment of interns since January this year. Elizabeth Atieno reports.
In Kenya, one doctor is tasked with serving over 17,000 patients, a clear indication that health professionals are being overworked. The irony, however, is that some doctors decry burnout. Over 4,000 trained in the medical field are yet to get employed. Some tell us they have gone for almost 6 years without being deployed at any health facility.
Junior healthcare workers are the first people you meet every time you go to a public hospital. Each time you go to a public hospital to seek healthcare, the first white coat you see is a junior doctor, a medical intern. You guys all agree, isn't it? So we are the ones who determine the quality of healthcare a patient gets. We are the first contact. So we would like the government to also look out on our side. Do not let us suffer. 5 months without pay is a lot of time. We are being understaffed, yet we have junior colleagues who just finished medical school staying outside. Issues of Mama Lucy, the ugly things that happened. I don't think they would have happened if the 4,000 doctors would have been there.
We therefore declare today, as KMPDU,
in the presence of all the doctors that have not been employed and the doctor interns who have not been posted, that this year, as per the agreement of the National Veterinary Council, if these matters continue, then we will not have any further engagement but to go for a nationwide industrial action.
The current doctor-to-patient ratio in the country is way below the recommended WHO standard of 1:1,000. The situation, according to doctors in the country, is hampering the attainment of universal health coverage.
I have to note that for the last 6 years, the governments, both the county governments and the national government, have adopted the policy of train and dump. We have a total number of 950 to 1,000 doctors graduating every year, with no any plans of the government to employ the same.
Over 360 medical interns who have been subjected to the 7-year training period in more than 9 accredited universities and international universities are yet to be posted in various health facilities.
The cost of training one doctor ranges between 4 to 5 million. It is sad that a nation will spend so much on training these professionals and fail to utilize them. Yet we see the country is now over and about asking for more taxes.
And for the 895 medical interns who were fortunate to get posted in January this year, all is not well as they dedicate themselves to saving lives while struggling to remain afloat in sustaining their livelihoods after going for 4 months without salary.
We want change, and we want change now. Even if you pay us, we want our arrears, and if the arrears due are paid, does not mean that is the end of our strike and our grievances. We want more than the money now. We want healthcare for Kenyans to be top-notch healthcare for Kenyans.
It will be long until we get results. We will not relent, we will not stop, and we will make sure that our grandmothers in the village, our mothers in the village get the best possible healthcare because we know we can offer that.
The CS promised that these interns will be paid by 22nd, that is next week. They also promised that these interns will be posted in the next 2 weeks. We want to say that in our discussion today, even if we are going to continue discussing on this issue of suspending the strike of the interns, these dates are committed. And these dates mean an important thing for all the healthcare workers, that they must prioritize. We must not try to disrupt services before these engagements take place.
The Doctors' Union has now promised to commence a nationwide strike if the Ministry of Health does not address the issues of unemployment, underemployment, and delayed posting and payment of intern salaries. Elizabeth Atieno, TV47.
A 4-year-old child has died at an emergency refugee camp in Kitali due to lack of food and water as refugees from Burundi and DRC increasingly struggle in the area after entering the country through Uganda. Our reporter Isaac Famba is in the area and has prepared the following report.
The situation in this area paints a sad picture with the deeply sorrowful faces of mothers and children, proving their great suffering. Refugees here are facing severe challenges, including lack of food and water, which has worsened the situation. Absence of basic needs such as clothes, food and shelter remains a puzzle for the refugees.
Mtoto anakufa na njala. Kitu mtoto takula hata moya pana. Mahindi ile banaleta yepa na iva, mtoto nakula tapita kutumbu, njala na uwa
Kenya kabisa tunashukuru atupokea mzuri. Lakini kitendo waliofanya leo asubuhi kabisa kilituonesha watu wana roho mbaya. Wanatusaidia kabisa hapo tunashukuru. Lakini kutuumiza. Mtu akikatia maji hata tulikuwa na watoto wadogo hapa na wamama walijifungua walimaliza wiki 2, wiki 1, siku 3 hapo. Wote wanaumia sasa hii kabisa. Sijui kwa nini tunakuwa victim. Kama mtu alikupokea mzuri akiseme mimi nachoka unanivunja, anaweza kuonesha njia ukaenda tena ukaendelea.
Lakini jana wa Red Cross hiyo wa Croix Rouge walikuwa tumwambia kwa haki, tuko nasema kwenye kwa haki. Chakula yenye tulikuwa kutia kwa store yetu inaicha. Na pesa kadogo tulikuwa naye kwa account yetu inaicha. Kutoka kesho siku ya kwanza kila mtu aone namna ya kukula naye ya kukula yake. Tena sasa leo kutoka asubuhi mimi naongea hakuna kitu mimi natia kwa mdomo yangu hata moja.
According to Red Cross organization, they have not received any financial support from UNHCR, making it difficult for them to provide help for more than 1,700 refugees who are legally supposed to live here for a period of 3 days.
This is a number that is growing, and as I'm speaking, I'm at 1,600 packs, and we need quite a lot of food. We are using 2 bags of beans and 2 bags of maize every day. We are doing about 3 bags of rice every day, and so also we need children food. Nutrition is a big factor here. We need wash programs here.
UNHCR has been asked to implement sufficient strategies to alleviate the anxiety these people are facing even after they fled their country through a neighboring country, Uganda.
And we are saying that these refugees, there are 1 or 2 who've confided in me that there's been persecution in those camps. So the thinking of the government that they have to be taken back to Uganda. There's one who has actually said that the entire family was wiped out. He's only remained with his wife and children. So we're also asking the government, and I have just dispatched a letter to the CS, Internal Security, Honorable Kindiki, that this particular group is considered to be taken to Kakuma, which is a refugee camp in Kenya in Turkana County.
Isaac Famba, TV47, Trans Nzoia County.
And as the ongoing security operation intensifies in the North Rift region, 2 bandits were arrested in Mukutani, Baringo County, with 1 illegal firearm. Baringo County Police Commandant Julius Giragu revealed the 2 were arrested on Tuesday morning by security officers who have been on their radar for something with the help of members of the public. Baringo County Commissioner Stephen Kutwa also expressed optimism that he, of course, on the issue of security will be a thing of the past very soon, since they are narrowing down to the chief perpetrators.
Usiku wa kuamkia leo tumeweza kwa ushirikiano na wananchi pamoja na afisa wetu tumeweza kukamata jambazi mmoja ambaye wamekuwa wakihusika kwa visa mbalimbali ya wizi ya mifugo, haswa ile ambaye juzi mtu aliuawa na tukapoteza ng'ombe 77 kutoka jamii ya Tugen. Tulishika hapo awali mtu mmoja, na huyu pia tumeweza kumshika ambaye pia alikuwa anahusika na hiyo maneno na visa vingine tofauti. Waliweza kushikwa eneo la Tangul Bay kupitia kwa information, kwa sababu walikuwa katika ile rada ya officers wetu, na wakati walipata habari wakawa wanawafuata kupitia njia ile ya kawaida ya serikali, na waweza kushikwa kule Tangul Bay. Wakati walihojiwa na upekuzi ukaweza kufanywa, ikabainika kwamba wamehusika na visa mbalimbali, kuhusika katika mambo ya kuuza ammunitions, wakienda wakiuza pikipiki kuja na ammunitions.
Now, President William Ruto has begun a 2-day state visit to Israel, and he held a meeting with Israeli counterpart Isaac Herzog at the latter's residence in Jerusalem. Ruto is accompanied by a delegation which includes the First Lady Rachel Ruto, the Cabinet Secretaries for Foreign Affairs and Agriculture Alfred Mutua and Kitali Nturi, respectively, among others. During the bilateral talks, the 2 leaders agreed to strengthen the relationship between their countries, that is, eliminate trade barriers and leverage Israel's expertise in the agriculture sector. The Kenyan president also also met with Israel's Prime Minister, that is Benjamin Netanyahu, at his office in Jerusalem. And of course, currently Kenya's exports to Israel are worth 1.1 billion shillings, which outweighed by imports from Israel of 7.5 billion shillings annually.
We're looking forward to working with you on blue economy. We have huge potential in the blue economy space that is untapped and that needs investment and cooperation. And I am very confident that Israel can share with us your experience and work with your technology and work with your expertise in that space. And of course, on matters to do with security, and we also want to see how we can bring the private sector into this space by allowing them to trade, to do business, to invest without unnecessary restrictions, specifically on the subject of avoidance of double taxation. I am looking forward to making sure that we have the necessary legislation that will support business.
We are grateful to you for your friendship with us in the international forums, and we believe that the real story is to enhance the relations between our future generations and people to people on so many fronts. So thank you very much, and I hope you'll have a wonderful visit with us. We're your excellent team with your ministers who are here. Thank you very much.
And more on business, Tecno Company has officially launched a brand new Camon 20 phone and made popular singer that is Nyamari Ongeu, also known as Nyashinsky, their brand ambassador at a restaurant here in Nairobi.
Nyashinsky, makofi! Makofi Nyamari!
So, why Tecno? When you say why Tecno, it's about, we really try so much to ensure that we can be able to meet our customers' needs and also at the same time provide an affordable product. Like for instance, right now we are introducing Camon 20. Camon 20 basically means that the Camon series is more resonates with the camera people. But more than that, it's also all about the design, introducing a new, impressive and unique design in the market. So that's why Tecno and why Camon. Nice pictures with accurate colors so that when you're showing your consumers, they can actually be able to see the quality of that cloth. So when you talk about content creators, it's because it's about the camera. It's about the camera. And one of the key areas whereby if you look at a content creator looks for is about a good camera system. Like for instance, when you ask me about the content creators, it's because right now we're introducing a new never seen before within the mid-range product whereby we are talking about a new sensor shift, which is of course found in some of the other flagship products like the iPhone.
So what we normally anticipate, as you know, Camon 18 was pretty much more frontier mobile brand. And I can say compared to Camon 18, Camon 19 really made great strive with our previous ambassador called Otile. We actually sold out Camon 19 series. We're proud to announce that. What you expect for Camon 20 in terms of sales is more or less that's the exposure of Nyashinsky. So it's a more collaborative brand. We are going to achieve more with Nyashinsky, and I believe with his audience, with his fans, are going to impact and reach a wider audience that we did not achieve last year. And we would like also to reach over and above the main cities in Kenya.
The National Horticulture Task Force has launched the Good Agricultural Guidelines for bean, pea and avocado farmers in Kenya. The purpose of these guidelines is to address quality and regulatory requirements, that is for the crops. The task force has established guidelines for compliance at both national and regional levels. At the launch event, the National Task Force chairperson, that is Clement Tulezi, emphasized that the guidelines have come at an opportune time when Kenya's agricultural products face stringent measures in the international market. In 2022, Kenya earned about 146 billion shillings, that is from horticulture exports, with flowers contributing 103 billion shillings, vegetables 23 billion shillings, and fruits 20 billion shillings.
To assure them of the market, if they are going to produce many volumes, and you can see that 2 years ago, 2021, we actually exported over 80,000 tons of metric tons of avocados. And you can see that the growing hectareage has actually become 21,000 hectares. That is a lot. And we believe that in the next few years, it will be even much more than that. So we have to safeguard the market, where if these products are mature, we can be able to find the market. We have two major challenges on the avocados. The first challenge is basically the harvesting of immature for avocados, because we have something called the dry matter content, which needs to be as high as possible. We have set it at 24% together with government, but we are seeing growers, exporters harvesting even those that are dry matter content is at 17, 18. And this cannot be sustained in the market because we take the product there, they cannot ripen, it finally just rots, and we lose the market. A lot of producers who are doing the right thing, but we also have those who are rogue, who are spoiling for the rest. Our quest is that everyone should be able to apply the same protocol or the same application, so that when we have our produce going to the international market, we have confidence.
The consequences of these ethical behaviors. But you realize when they use some shortcuts to sell, they just they are just selfish, but they don't know the long-term consequence, that this unethical behavior in the long term can affect the little that they earn.
Well, it's 1 minute to the top of the hour. Allow us to take a quick short break, and then we come back with the discussion.
You are watching TV 47, the home of untold stories.
Wakati mwingine kama weekend, mimi najiachilia.
Hata ukumbuki hii story. Nikifika watu wangu wakinipokea na kupokeleka. Umeset the mood. Nimeset the mood. Naweza kupokeleka. Nikitumai kwamba mzima popote pale ulipo, nikikukaribisha katika kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi. Jina langu Elizabeth Mutuku, na katika kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi tunakupa nafasi kutangamana nao kila siku ya Alhamisi kuanzia saa 1:30 kuendelea siku nyingine. Tutapatana papa hapa umjue kiongozi mwingine.
Jiunge nasi toka hapa hadi ufuoni mwa bahari. Meli yetu itakapotua nanga kwa uhondo ribo ya riwaya hii mwisho wa kosa. Monica.
It's early morning in Maralal. Start your morning informed, educated, entertained, and above all, know your country. From the beautiful plains of Samburu County to the skyscrapers of Nairobi, Morning Cafe certainly got you covered. Indeed, a beautiful place to watch and certainly a moment of understanding and knowing your country. Indeed, to the remotest parts of every county. Join me, Linda Alela, every weekday from 6 a.m. to 9:30 a.m.
The diversity of Kenya's wildlife has garnered international fame.
This is pellets that we give to the tourists.
The Bride of Judas, a legend.
Wakati mwingine kama weekend, mimi najiachilia.
Hata ukumbuki hii story. Nikifika watu wangu wakinipokea na kupokeleka. Umeset the mood. Nimeset the mood. Naweza kupokeleka. Nikitumai kwamba mzima popote pale ulipo, nikikukaribisha katika kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi. Jina langu Elizabeth Mutuku, na katika kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi tunakupa nafasi kutangamana nao kila siku ya Alhamisi kuanzia saa 1:30 kuendelea siku nyingine. Tutapatana papa hapa umjue kiongozi mwingine.
Jiunge nasi toka hapa hadi ufuoni mwa bahari. Meli yetu itakapotua nanga kwa uhondo ribo ya riwaya hii mwisho wa kosa. Monica.
It's early morning in Maralal. Start your morning informed, educated, entertained, and above all, know your country.
Kuhusu NHF, nilichukua NHF in back 2012. Nimekava watoto wangu na pia bwanangu cause mimi ndio member. Lakini kwa uwezo wangu singeweza kupata ile pesa. Nikashindwa ama ni mali ndauza ama ni nini. Lakini sababu nilikuwa na NHF card ikaingilia na ikanilipia hiyo pesa yote na ilikuwa inagharimu pesa mingi sana. Na niliwashukuru sana cause niliona ni kama Mungu tu ameingilia na wakanilipia pesa yote, sikufungiwa hospitalini. Back last year 2022 mtoto wangu pia akagonjeka ugonjwa wa spine inaitwa scoliosis. Nikakuja hospitalini ikasemekana atafanywa surgery. Surgery yenyewe ilikuwa ina cost pesa mingi. Sikuwa na uwezo hata kidogo. Lakini wakati niliposema niko na NHF card, walisema watanigharimia pesa yote ile ule mtoto atatumia. Na pia wakaninunulia vifaa zile mtoto aliweza kutumia. So nashukuru NHF na nahimiza kila mmoja ama kila Mkenya ambaye ana NHF achukue kwa sababu ni usaidizi na inasaidia mtu wakati wa shida. Si pesa inakuanga umepoteza, lakini ni kama hazina unakuanga umeweka. Wakati utapatwa na shida ndio utajua NHF inasaidia.
Stories.
Welcome back to the broadcast. It's a bit chilly. I don't know whether this is Nairobi or Kiambu. You know, this is Kiambu, yeah?
This is Kiambu.
This is Kiambu, but this is Kiambu, but slightly almost Nairobi. So
yes,
it's Nairobi and the peripheries.
Yes.
Remember the times of COVID-19, kulifungwa Nairobi and its environs, yeah?
So leafy suburbs.
Yes, leafy suburbs. So here we are, and we shift gears to the conversation. Unfortunately, two of my guests are not here just yet. I guess it's because of the rain and a bit of traffic, but we certainly hope that we get a hold of them. But before then, let's get into some 2-3 things that are taking center stage in the country. Otherwise, how have you been?
Been great.
I dined at some place in Kileleshwa, and I was sitting with some people who said, nafikiri Alai amefanya kazi mzuri. Ni kazi gani you're supposed to do as an MCA that would get people thinking and saying that Alai anajaribu?
You know, for the middle class, this is the most important seat.
Yeah.
But you've ignored this seat.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy that some of us are trying to bring back the middle class into the conversation.
Yeah.
Because for you, the middle class, you just need clean roads, clean markets, good order in the neighborhoods. Just order and cleanliness and enforcement. Kazi ya kanjo.
Unataka kuniambia Kileleshwa haijakuanga tu in order. Kileleshwa ni leafy suburbs pia.
You see, when you see the street lights not working.
Yeah.
Because you can't.
Yeah.
When you see people blocking the road or there's no clear enforcement, the footpaths are not there, so easily because you can't. But when we get into this, the political space, we realize that the middle class doesn't participate.
Completely.
And sometimes you find the most important political process is the party nominations.
Yeah.
And you don't come out to vote. If you get maybe 50 or 100 of them to come out, you are very lucky. So it depends on the people from the lower income areas to come, and you have to bust them. You have to sometimes pay them for them to come for the party nominations, and it's very difficult. But it means also there's a gap in leadership.
Yeah.
The people who actually get elected, sometimes they don't get elected by the people who live there. Yeah. So I think that is what I'm trying to, the message I'm spreading across Kileleshwa and Kilimani and the whole of the Greater North and the whole of Nairobi, that please the middle class, participate in politics.
Yeah.
If you don't participate, don't complain.
That's true. And I think largely a majority of the problems that we face today is because the electoral did not make the right decision. And if they did, they perhaps, made decisions based on a party affiliation, emotions, pride, and all that. And then we tend to come and complain and point fingers at the government.
Nairobi's party, 60% of the vote I get is because of my party leader.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is quite unfortunate.
Yeah.
I mean, they perhaps do not even look at what it is that Alai brings to the table.
Yeah, you know, the party, it's unfortunate, but it's also very fortunate for us who have parties.
Are vying, yes.
Who have parties. That's very hard for now in Nairobi. Out of the 124 MCAs, we have 2 from the independent party. One who is now aligned to the Azimio wing, another one is aligned to the UDA wing, one from Kariobangi North and another one from Roysambu. And they really struggled so hard. But even for them to get elected with the independent ticket, they had to put pictures of other party leaders.
Unfortunately.
They have to put
so it mixes.
Yes. So,
on your poster therein, hapo chini unaweka sura ya baba.
Unaweka sura ya baba, unaweka sura ya Ruto. Yeah, so you need to get, it's very hard to get elected in Nairobi with an independent ticket.
That's unfortunate.
It's very hard.
It's very hard.
Yeah.
While we all keep saying that the independent, candidates are, becoming more and more popular, what is this that members of county assemblies are angling for? Are you not overambitious in a government where we are struggling because of the question of finances? Members of parliament themselves are saying they're not even getting enough. But here you are as members of county assemblies asking for something equivalent to what members of, parliament are getting.
In fact, we are not asking for even anywhere close to what
the members of parliament are getting.
Yes, we're just asking just above 300,000. You see, my basic salary is 86,000. Plus 1 or 2 allowances get to 144.
Yeah.
But even those allowances are taxed. And if you get 144 and you get out 30% of it, you're still coming back to around 80 something. In this Nairobi, where are you going to survive with an MCA with that amount of money?
People are always, at your doorstep very early in the morning with their problems.
And you're given 18,000 per month to rent an office. Hebu niambie pale Kileleshwa, 18,000 to rent office wapi?
Ngumu.
All the elective seats, you will find that every elected seat, if you have served 2 terms, you automatically qualify for pension. There are MCAs, people started from councillor. 6 terms. Doesn't have any hope of ever getting pension. This is the only job. Somebody got elected. My leader in Kilimani got elected while in second year university.
What?
Ogeto. 15 years.
15
he doesn't know any other
zero,
job. He doesn't know any other job. He's a politician. In and out. So when you tell him that you're going to get outside there and look for business, you are forcing this person to cut deals and not do his work. You are forcing him to get into deep corruption because he has to survive. The family has to survive.
Do you suppose that's why we have this big problem with the corruption? Because my understanding, Mheshimiwa, is that before you go out there and seek the mandate, from the people, you have done, background check on, first of all, what you're supposed to get, what it is that this seat entails and all that. So by the time you're being voted in, you know very well the amounts of money that you're going to get. So why the excitement of getting into?
I'm very sure that 99% of the people get elected in politics don't get because of the money. And they don't even know how much. They realize the need for money when they're already in that seat. Mheshimiwa Gakuya will come here and he will tell you that you get
Mheshimiwa Gakuya is here. Karibu Mheshimiwa.
Oh,
so he's here. Ingia Mheshimiwa, karibu. Wacha tuseme leo tuvunje rules aingie tu. Now that he's here. Him. Karibu.
Asante Mheshimiwa.
Anaitwa Bazu. It's good to have you, sir. Karibu. The Member of Parliament of Embakasi North. Karibu sana.
So when Mheshimiwa will tell you that when he got into politics, he got because of the deep urge
to serve.
Mheshimiwa Rengo, the governor now, used to tell us that unajua hii ni kama shetani inaingilia mtu. He's so addicted to politics, he will not leave. Then you get into elective politics. You network 2-3 of friends, contribute for you, you get into that seat, unapata campaign tamu, una ride on your party's popularity, you get elected. Then you realize you need more money than you're actually being given. Because you have to get into these funerals in my low-income areas. I'm close to 12 now in a week. Averagely.
I gave Mheshimiwa the newspaper and he was busy. Koko obituaries. And then I'm asking him, kwani you know someone there? And he man, you as a politician, you have to go through them and get to know ni nani yako huko amekufa. You have to attend the burials.
Yes.
For
and as a politician, sometimes when you don't attend those things, unachukuliwa ngumu ni kama wewe ndio uliua.
You ask Buhisa Kitui.
Yes.
He'll tell you.
So we have learned, it's also the last rights for all of us in this world, and we try as much as possible to stand with, if we can be physically present, or if we can send something small, we'll always do it. It doesn't matter, and also in our political case, it doesn't matter if the family is rich or poor. The fact that so and so came and sometimes you find even some families are too influential. You will not have your name not mentioned in that funeral.
Well, so how much of a difference will these funds that you're angling for then bring?
It will bring much difference. When you talk of the World Development Fund and you say that you're going to allocate 35 million per year to Kileleshwa, for roads, for schools, doing social halls, doing maybe health center. Kileleshwa has none. If today Kileleshwa was its own independent state, it will not have a health center.
They'll depend on a different state too.
For now, for neighborhoods to be self-sustaining, you need to have a police station, you need to have a school, you need to have a health center. But Kileleshwa has none. It depends on others. Kileleshwa and Kilimani really struggling for. Kilimani has one, but it's not properly, managed. But we also think that with the current needs of health in Nairobi, we need to have health center very close to the people, because even Kileleshwa itself, the population is growing, and at some point you'll need to create other jurisdictions out of it. So. The MCAs, what they are demanding, 99% is not because of them. It is because of the wananchi.
Right.
When you tell me to look for 3 employees to support my office, and you give me 108 per quarter, that's 36,000 per quarter, per month.
For these 3 people?
Yes, for 3 people. How are you going to pay? That is, the government itself says you cannot pay these people less than 16,000, 17,000 per month. Each. So why do you give me 36,000?
36,000.
How will I pay them? Wewe mwenyewe serikali umesema kwamba you cannot, huwezi kwenda chini ya labor rates.
Na hiyo inamaanisha pia if you have 2 or 1 person, then kazi pia haisongi kwa.
Haisongi, also it exposes you because you are a politician. Huyu ni PA wako, huyu labda ni mtu wa security, labda mtu wa kusupport office. You are too exposed.
What is this that is happening? First of all, on the records, Mheshimiwa, we are normally told that our parliamentarians, or basically the leadership in this country, is taking so much. We have had people actually proposing that perhaps the leadership positions should be positions that are not about money, but basically, go out there and serve. Perhaps do something on the side to get money and then go out there and serve. So maybe it does not attract very many people, or this bone of contention that we have today. Just what is going on in the leadership, aspect of the country? Talk of the 6 tiers, from the presidency to the governor, to the senator, to the members of parliament, to the women representatives and the members of county assemblies.
Thank you, Rida. First of all, I want to apologize for my lateness.
It's fine. It's fair enough.
There's a very big truth this morning, Lane, at Muthaiga. We have totally crossed. And allow me to salute the viewers wherever they are watching us from.
Pleasure.
Coming to your question, let me state it very clearly that actually the society have changed. This has not been the tradition there before. And you realize that, in fact, about 20 years ago, even salaries of members of parliament were mere minkra. But these vices started right from the Moi regime. And Moi actually changed the whole regime of the society. Because the poverty, number one, contributed a lot. And when the poverty lines up, then to cope with the poverty, then there has to be something to fill the gaps. And therefore, members then, they were able to be selling properties because there are a lot of land, chunk of land, Probably, after the Muzungu, then there are a lot of lands for sale, and that is what members were depending on. And therefore, even though the salaries were low, then they were able to have some money from those chunks of land to fill the gaps.
Yeah.
And the other interest that made people to make politics so tough is that since there is no other job that is appealing, and people have land, people are educated, and they are idle out there, then they opt to go for this, because obviously after 5 years, there have to be a competitive elections. People try luck. So it is not that ambition that that probably pushes people to politics. It is just to have a job that, according to the situation down there and the level of the poverty in the society, then one just want to ask, there is no job elsewhere. Where can I try to
So sometimes it's not even about serving the people or bringing change to you.
I can tell you for sure. There before, politicians were very there, and the competition was very low. But currently,
everybody wants to
everyone wants to go for it. And the reason why, it seems to be the only paying job. Because other jobs there, you find that actually they are not very well, even they are not there. You try to look for them, they are not available. And even the private sector, where maybe people should turn from now looking for a white collar job to other business, not everybody is conversant with that particular field. And that is why it makes politics to be so competitive. And so, coming to what Mheshimiwa has been alluding to, the needs are so high. You realize then the population was a bit low. Today we are dealing with a population which is almost to creep to 55 million Kenyans. And a ward, you are dealing with at least a population of 100,000. This is Nairobi. 100,000 or so. Maybe you have voters which are almost 20,000. That's a big population. Comparing with whatever little you are earning. And the other thing is that you realize there is no single kit anywhere to at least assist that member to fill those other gaps that are not considered.
Mheshimiwa, I think I'll be forgiven to argue that there are constitutional mandates that align to specific political positions. And maybe as politicians, sometimes you tend to, overlook this and you want to do more than what the Constitution stipulates you should do. For instance, as members of Parliament, we all understand it's oversight, legislation, and this other one is oversight,
representation,
and representation. If we have to stretch further, we are talking about education.
I can tell you for sure. Just go and try to do those matrix. You won't see that.
Have we failed on enlightening the masses on what?
But I can tell you, assume you don't deliver anything else. Because actually, initially, the way the Constitution is stipulates is that our business, like members of Parliament, is not to fix any project.
At back at home.
Our job is that we represent, we registrate, and we oversight.
So why don't you stick to that?
You can stick to that, but be ready to get home. As simple as that.
Mheshimiwa, honestly, the Constitution does not speak anywhere. I can tell you, Mheshimiwa Alai has to attend.
This is not America. This is not America. This is not Britain.
The structures are not.
This is Africa. And this is Kenya. And the society is spoiled. They cannot understand what we are telling them.
So what will it take?
Today we have 2 tiers of government. And we have a lot of resources trickling down to the county government. The society down there does not understand that concept. Still, they will blame the government, the national government, for even any single road down there that belongs to the county. And they don't want to know. But the Ruto is not working. They don't know that actually they are those
it's a county function, it's
all these things.
So are we saying that...
And there is no business to run this.
Okay. Yes. So you as politicians are enabling these bad behaviors. First of all, you're not enlightening the people on what you are supposed to do. And that's why they will come to your house very early in the morning. First of all, telling you that their children do not have school fees.
You know what is happening now is that Kenya is getting wealthier, but also the income gaps is increasing. So the only cushion to this income gap is the help from the politician. because the businessmen, the CSR used to see. Now if you check in Nairobi, you know, I want to give you an example. If you check the growth in Nairobi, the development, the big apartment, the buildings, but why are public utilities remaining in their 1950s, 1960s state? Why do you have schools? Why, if you go to Upper Hill High School, you see the state of Upper Hill High School, but see the opulence around it. The police stations, Kilimani police stations, Kileleshwa police stations, remaining, those police officers live like, you know, they still live in their state. If you go to the slums, Kawangware, you go Kibra, you know, and now even there's a bigger threat of the concrete slums. You know, we are pushing the resources. The income gaps are increasing, but Kenyans are getting wealthier. The only cushion, the only person who can remember that there's somebody here who is struggling with fees is a politician. Because even you, the middle class, if you tell today the Kileleshwa people that, I will always wake them up, that you know there's a slum in Kileleshwa called Waruku. Do you guys know where it is?
You'd be surprised.
People don't even think that I'm talking about Kileleshwa. If I take a photo of Waruku, you know, 500 meters by 500 meters, it's not even a kilometer squared, it's 500 meters by 500 meters. And if you go there, and there I have 10,000 voters. 10,000 of them. Huku kwingine, the bigger area, it has, the land size is almost 80%, but I only have 17,000.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
Lakini huko, 500 meters by 500 meters, I have 10,000 people.
You have to speak their language.
I have to speak their language because you know when worse comes to worse, they are the people who are going to vote for me.
For you.
They are the people who are going to come out and stand with me. They are the people who are going to say that, you know, we are going to support you and we are going to ensure that, you know, whatever you are voting for us succeeds. But I'm also trying to bring in the corporates. I have gone, you know, researched and found that the corporates who have some footing in Kileleshwa, in 2021, they made profit worth 243 billion. Those are listed companies.
Out of the people, out of Kileleshwa? Out of
1 year profit for the listed companies, you know, with the footing in Kileleshwa, 243 billion.
Okay.
Nobody thought of even going to ask this corporate that can you please take 500 million, you give the mamambogas through one of the banks, who is one of the corporates.
Now this is through lobbying and speaking to friends.
Yes, tell them, just make it easy through Kenya Women Finance Trust or some organization. So this money comes and circulates. This money is still going to come back to you. The Safaricom, the KCBs, you know, the ICAs, you know, you tell them, buy an insurance product, you know, open an account here, buy airtime. This money is going to come back to you. But you have helped cushion a poor person. Today in Nairobi here, the main empowerment is Boda Boda. This Boda Boda is 30,000 in India or China. Here, if you buy it cash, it's 120,000 to 160,000. But most of these young people are condemned to buying it on credit, which starts from 240,000 to 450,000.
And it is bad. We ran a story.
Then these young people, when they're in class 5, class 6, class 7, they are asked by their parents to go and deposit. They're given 15,000, deposit and start paying for a Boda Boda, so they stop going to school. We are increasing illiteracy. The urban illiteracy. Mweshu here will tell you that in some areas, if we don't print a card with our photos, people would not know who they are voting for because they can't read the name.
That's unfortunate.
In Nairobi, Nairobi.
It is bad. It is bad. So, Mheshimiwa, you agree that members of county assembly should, or county assemblies should get something more, you know, so that perhaps they can now help the people. Well, overlook the vote for a moment, because then again, largely it's about the vote, but equally it's about the people and some of the changes that would need to be done. And so beyond what is being disbursed to the counties, which they say is not even enough, the members of county assemblies should get more?
One, let us understand where we are coming from and where we're heading to. I have served 2 terms in the defunct local authority, the City Council of Nairobi, and I started to earn 46,000 during Kibaki tenure. And as I exited, I was earning 102, then minus the taxes.
Right.
So today, we are almost 10 years from that. And if you compare the level of economy, you realize that still economy is not really, we cannot say we have appreciated very well. And considering that actually even the size of the wards has been enlarged from the size we are serving to now a bigger sizes. I would hope that, in fact, it's only, the problem is only that actually whatever can be increased is going to pin the what we call exchequer. Yeah. But if the model of the salaries of the MCAs can revert back to the county, where the neighboring of a certain county can be able to fit to cope with the increment, that can work better.
That can work. So in this case, perhaps maybe we should ask Mheshimiwa,
yes,
what exactly is this that you want increased? Is it a salary or some funding to your office for purposes of development for the people?
You need to enable the office. The salary. At some point the salaries the MCAs used to earn 200 or something.
Yeah.
When they started the devolution first term.
Yeah.
Then people chanted so much. Mpaka they formed the CAF, the County Assemblies Forum.
Yes.
Then the salary started to reduce for the MCAs, but the speakers were increasing from 250,000 to now 520 something. The speakers.
Speakers of
the county assemblies. So you see, but also for the members of parliament, their salary is 49% of the president.
Right.
Why can't the MCA salary be also 49% of the governor?
Because you
are going to oversight MCAs by rank. You see, even the CDF manager earns more than 200,000. You see?
Yeah.
How are you going to oversight an officer where even the deputy director in the county earns more than you? The county clerk earns 450,000. The speaker, the CECs earn more than 450,000. You see?
Yeah.
The directors, you rank below. Yes, even some of the assistant clerks working for the committees earns more than you. Then you're going to sit there and you ask them for how much money they have stolen. It is very easy for them to even sit with their own salaries to stop you from investigating them.
Yeah.
Because they are more empowered than you. Even in all regards. So
but is it not what is happening even in the National Assembly? They oversight the CSs and they get more than them.
The CSs and the MPs are almost the same. Because the CSs
in terms of
in terms of pay. And also that's and MPs plus a lot of committee sittings plus it gets to more than 1 million.
Yeah.
So and the MCAs really struggle to make it, and sometimes you are being threatened by somebody who is so junior in the ranking. The only thing you have here is being called Mheshimiwa. Apart from that,
it does not translate to the public.
It doesn't translate because also the office, come on, in Kileleshwa, I'm told that I'm supposed to rent. Yeah, I'm given 18,000 per month to rent an office. Pale Kileleshwa, utapata office wapi? The person I've replaced was there for 15 years. He doesn't even know where the office he opened is. Ajay stepped for 15 years.
Yeah.
He opened the office in a small room in the slum and left it there. And said, because the moment he steps into that slum, 300, 500 people are surrounding him. Yes, they're surrounding him. You want to solve all these death, funeral problems. What was school fees, hospital bills, they're coming to you, they are overwhelming you, and some of them you can cry.
Because they're genuine.
They're genuine, the problem, So it's very depressing, but if you enable the MCA, especially, and I wish that, we created a county assemblies service commission.
Interesting.
To review the service, because the disparities, especially, vis-a-vis the roles, is quite glaring.
Okay, we take a quick short break and then we come back on that very note and perhaps speak more to the matters that are playing out in the country after this.
Sasa sote tuko sawa, nchi moja yenye usawa, tunasonga mbele pamoja.
Wakati mwingine kama weekend, mimi najiachilia.
Hata ukumbuki history. Nikifika watu wangu watu wakinipokea na kupokeleka. Umeset the mood. Nimeset the mood. Naweza kupokeleka. Nikitumai kwamba mzima popote pale ulipo, nikikukaribisha katika kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi. Jina langu Elizabeth Mutuku. Katika kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi tunakupa nafasi kutangamana nao kila siku ya Alhamisi kuanzia saa 1:30 kuendelea. Siku nyingine tutapatana papa hapa umjue kiongozi mwingine.
Jiunge nasi toka hapa ufuoni mwa bahari. Meli yetu itakapotua nanga kwa uhondo ribo ya riwaya hii mwisho wa kosa. Monica.
It's early morning in Maralal. Start your morning informed, educated, entertained, and above all, know your country. From the beautiful plains of Samburu County to the skyscrapers of Nairobi, Morning Cafe certainly got you covered. Indeed, a beautiful place to watch and certainly a moment of understanding and knowing your country. Indeed, to the remotest parts of every county. Join me, Linda Alela, every weekday from 6 a.m. to 9:30 a.m.
The diversity of Kenya's wildlife has garnered international fame.
This is pellets that we give to the tourists, the giraffes. We ration because we don't want the giraffes to eat too much of this. We want them to have more of the natural browse.
We may not always get the opportunity to go out to see the wildlife, but you'll never miss the opportunity to see it from the comfort of your couch.
This is home to animals that have been found out there either injured, abandoned, or confiscated from people who are holding them illegally.
Only on TV47 Wildlife, every Sunday at 7:30 p.m.
Disability is a club that anyone can join.
One thing what I would tell you is that actually there is those what we call treasury. Treasury actually proposes what areas where it thinks that actually they can be able to expand the basis of revenue collection. That proposal is what comes back to the House as what we call finance bill. And then the members now will sit on it. And that when it is now at the floor of the House, it's now up to the members to decide whether to pass as it is or whether to amend.
It looks like we have
decided
already.
But I can tell you how we have not decided because it has not been discussed, it has not been passed. It will come to the floor of the House, it will be debated. And I can tell you there are areas where maybe there's a comfort. There are areas where we can't really go. Because one thing, it need to do with increment in the area of NHIF, area of the NSSF, that is your own money, because insurance is your own insurance and it takes care of you and your family. Even NSSF, it is your package, that is your retirement package. So that one, to me, it does not pin very much. But once we come to issue to do with 3% of housing, then that have to be somewhat voluntary. Because if you make it mandatory, assume I have another different mortgage of housing. Why do you force me to go to another package of 3%? And already I have some standing kind of a mortgage that actually I'm servicing. Then it makes me, you pin me to a level that I cannot be able to survive with whatever little I'm earning. So I think that in fact that area is an area which should be left to be voluntary, because there are those civil service that actually would like to go to that program, which is very okay. But I think the government also should also rethink what was that happening there before. Because I assume that I have been a councillor from Mudhurwa, which takes all the way to Shauriboyo. And you realize that actually many private sector companies have their own housing there. Unga, Kenya Buliwale, Kenya, what you call Barclays Bank, and many other institutions. So I think that kind of concept was working. Why can't you also bring that concept back? Now that we are here, and we want to move away from the bungalows that were there before, so that we come to high-rise. Why don't you bring those security back? Make them your stakeholder in this. Let them contribute to the kitty. Then do this housing together with them, so that after the completion, there is a package of this particular stakeholder takes this much, this security takes much, the county takes this much, the national government takes this much, and that way I think we can make it. But once we see it's mandatory to civil service, these people will just come to the street, and once they come back to the street, then it tells you that to call them, you must think of what at this time. It's better to listen to them, and that is why the Constitution stipulates about what we call public participation. Let them have a say. Don't make it mandatory. Make it optional. Yes, make it because I'm sure there are those people who want to move from their estate to own houses, even makangas, even the private sector, and that window is open to everybody. So just bring together those who are willing to go that direction. But don't force everybody to go to that route.
And I like, Mheshimiwa, that you say the process has not gone full cycle. And so the bill is to be debated by the public, is to go to the floor of the House, is to be debated by the floor of the House. They perhaps pass it or fail it. If passed, goes to the President for approval and all this.
And let me tell you, there's another pinning issue. What we call a Vuero tax. We are now moving from 8 to 16. Life is going to be tough.
Extremely.
Because it is the fuel which controls the cost of everything. Because transport makes, whether it is passenger, whether it's good passenger, everything. Even the generators consumes fuels. So it's an area that also should be looked. Because either you survive with the subsidy, bring it back to fill that particular deficit. But you cannot move to 16 and there are no subsidy. Then the life would be so costly.
And I mean, that's why I have a problem, Mheshimiwa, because while we say that this is a constitutional process and proposals are always out there for people to debate on and all that, to imagine that such proposals can be presented, proposals that are going to outrightly hurt the taxpayer, who is already hurt as it stands right now. You know, it's outrageous, it is hilarious, so to speak, lugubrious if you'd want to call it. Because, I mean, at what point do these people sit down to imagine that let's introduce this clause, let's speak about this and everything, for it to go all that cycle to the Parliament and make it very difficult for even members of Parliament to know what to do? I mean, balance between the party and your people.
Yeah, I think there's a challenge of innovative ways of growing the economy without increasing taxes. And I think that as long as we see the issues of increase of taxes, it's to increase the collection of the government, it shows me that we have leadership which doesn't have a clue of what they're supposed to do. What I wish they need to think about is lowering the taxations, but increasing and ensuring that everybody pays it. Like in Nairobi, I can tell you for a fact that, if you see the fact of Nairobi, even in building, even in planning, where we have more than 2.5 million property owners, but only 100,000 pay rates, where we have so many billboards, more than trees, but only 15% are approved. You see, these are gaps. Not everybody is paying taxes. Why should you have? Why should pay be so expensive? 30%. For the first time, I'm seeing the government is trying to bridge the gap between the rich, now saying that if you are paid more than 500,000, you're going to pay 35%. But I wish that they put that to be 20%. But those who are paid below 500,000 pay something like 15%. Lower the tax rate, but ensure that everybody pays it. All this, the VAT, make it half, but ensure it's collected real time. I'm seeing the government has tried to deploy technology, and now in the issue of the betting companies, they're collecting the taxes real time, which is very good. Like if you go to Europe today and you do shopping in the supermarket, the government collects that tax real time. When you're exiting the country from the airport, if you're not a resident of the country, they'll refund you your tax because they already collected it. and they're not, you know, gambling whether the person who is supposed to remit it is going to remit it or not. When I see the government is trying to increase taxes on the fuel and is going to touch everybody else, when you force me to own a house, you know, me, I'm a technologist, I don't believe in owning a house. Me, nitakuwa na shamba, nitaenda kuretire huko Shago at some point, a bigger one. But I don't believe in this mess, you know, that I have to own a house. Wengine lazima wakuwe tenants, wengine wakuwe house owners. There are people who are going to be cushioned by the cost of housing. But through building of government houses, what an affordable housing, government houses, National Housing Corporation, ijenge nyumba. Nairobi City County has big chunks of land, wajenge nyumba.
Mtu alipe kama ameoccupy.
Amelipa kama ameoccupy, but the government does not force you to own a home. When, in actual sense, you're not interested in, you're not interested in owning a home. You know, you're not interested in owning a house. Maybe a good number of you have houses in shags. You have come here just to work.
Right.
Then you will leave. But why is somebody forcing you to be a house owner when you are not willingly trying to do that? So I think that the government needs to come back. You know, the corporates used to have the central bank used to have their own estates. You know, Kenya Pipeline, you know, Nairobi City County. Let all these organizations build houses for their staff to cushion them from the high rent charges. And to ensure that the government can control the cost of living, the cost of housing through that. But don't force everyone using this, you know, housing fund. They're saying that, you know, everybody has to pay some 3% to the housing fund. So you're not going to increase the tax on the pay slip to be so high that I think now it's going to get to 50%. You have the Mheshimiwa saying here that, you know, you get 1.1, but in actual sense, kwa payslip yako, kwa bank yako, unapata 500 or 600,000. It means more than 50% of your salary has gone to taxes only. You know, you have not even taken a loan. Now, if you take a loan, like some of us, you know,
you may earn negative.
In my situation,
the only way you progress is through taking loans fast.
Yes. No, but you know, even in my situation, you know, I'm allowed to take a mortgage and car loan, which amounts to close to 5 million. But I can't afford it because the moment I take it, it goes beyond the allowed tax limit. So I cannot afford it. I cannot afford that.
You're locked out automatically.
Yes, you're locked out automatically by the basic salary because it is pegged on the basic salary. If basic is 86 and you're going to, how are you going to qualify for 5 million? Impossible. So you're given something you don't even qualify for. You know, so it is a bit challenging, and I wish that the government thought of it differently. Ensure if I go to the village shops, the hardwares, nini, you go there, they still charge you things expensively. They unalipa cement ile, lakini hakuna mtu analipa tax. Hakuna mtu analipa tax. You know, I buy things there worth 600, 700, 1 million shillings, you know, for building. Hakuna mtu analipa tax huko. You see? So you ask them that thing. You know, there's a black economy around here. You know, in fact, what I think President Ruto needs to have is that he needs to have tax officers, like police officers. Don't go after people who are paying taxes already. Go after people who are... Yes, there are people who have... Their business is to evade taxes, and they have never paid. You see, look for new tax recruits. Don't enforce, don't go with a strong arm tactic. Convince people to pay taxes. You know, look for... And you don't limit it, these things, to the national government taxes. Talk to the counties. Tell them that, are you collecting rates for that? Are you collecting... You know, let's have specialists. These young people, these interns you're using around, you know, let them go around and tell us that, you know, that's probably not paying taxes. Those billboards are not approved. You know, that's the cars there driving with no side mirrors. The policeman needs to act. You feed this information, you will be having too much tax to collect. The
medical interns, though, are not so happy. I am sure you've seen that.
The medical
interns.
Yes.
Na wala hawalipi.
You know, the problem is that sometimes we get interns. We pretend that we will refund even for them their fare and lunch. But we try as much as possible to ensure that we pay them nothing. Which is very wrong, which is exploitative. I think that, you know, because most of the interns, wherever they are working, they are doing a lot in those organizations. They need to be paid.
In fact, in the world of medicine, they're doing so much.
A lot,
Okay, so here we are, Mheshimiwa. The bipartisan talks, and I know there's so much to talk about the tax and the conversations revolving around that. But I think it's on, and we have until the 20th, so we'll be having more of these conversations, as we hope that members of parliament then would be keen to make sure that we do not regret the fact that we elected you people to look into the problems of the people. Let's talk about the bipartisan talks, because that also is one thing that we are silent about. And you know, Mheshimiwa Alai was somewhere with Baba while they were appreciating the fact that that the president has extended that olive branch. But it's close to a month now, really. What is going on? And the Right Honorable Raila Odinga's side say, if it is not today, then we might as well say back to the streets.
First and foremost, let us agree together that the both political parties leaders, the head of state and Raila Amolo Odinga, at some point, the head of state realized that actually there is need to listen what maybe Raila and his team are arguing about. And at that particular point, he alluded to a kind of bipartisan talks. And his preference was that it should be the constitutional route, which is now parliament. And both teams nominated or constituted a panel of this. At some point, there was issues to do with the those representations, where there was a member who had a thorny feeling from one side. But I think that Kenan has gone, and another somebody has come in, and therefore that particular friction is now over. But it seems as if still there are some areas that they have not agreed together. Maybe the intended discussion. Right. Probably, to my understanding, I thought, according to as me reader, that the only thing was an area to do with the representation of that panel of IBC, and I think that was most burning. But it seems there are a lot, and to me, I think that particular panel, so that at least they can be able to conclude those airing issues, should not be forced to also attend other issues to do with constitutional changes. Because if there's a constitutional changes, then make a process, normal process for that particular constitutional change. But if it was to address issues that are now pinning or that are airing us to now, for now, we should concentrate with those matters first. One of them was that particular panel of constitution of IBC panel, and that one to me it was valid because both the parties can come together, think yes, this was how it was thought, and if there is a party that does not require to nominate a candidate in this, then can be withdrawn, and another party can be brought in. And therefore, that's why I believe there are 7-7, and up to 7-7, they can have to a point of agreement. But it's like maybe the discussion they want it to be more robust, other than what we think, and probably that may not see the light of the day. But if they can concentrate on those, because one thing is that there was this clamor of opening of server. I don't think that committee has an issue to do with that, because we all know that actually the route to go about that is a court route. You need to seek orders from maybe the Supreme Court also. And then those servers are not anywhere in settled. They are being kept by IBC, and that they cannot open it without an order. So that process they understand. So we should not bring it at that particular panel. Number two is an issue to do with Chelela. The Chelela 4 is an issue which already has been crossed, because already those candidates have some have resigned, and one who was left was cut short by the tribunal. So that's another matter that we cannot now step in this particular moment. And therefore, my other thinking is that the element of cost of living was very key. And that one I have no problem in the discussion of it, because it's aiding everybody. Because that does not vary. Because if a Kenyan in Mandela is hungry, a Kenyan in Nairobi, Dandora is hungry. And therefore the life there has to be, need to think, how can we do it better? What can be able to save us from that, this food security? And how can we come up to it? Because the country belongs to us all. Whether we have opposition or whether we have the government, all of us, we live in this country. And if there is an issue which is burning and which is ailing the community, also down there, it's a matter that we can come together and think about it. And maybe there are those magical proposals that can be brought from Azimio side and that can help the country to get out of it. So I think that is a welcome area. So if we can concentrate with element that two factors, which is cost of living, and issue to reconstitute that panel of IBC, I think the matter to do with the current fire can be well addressed. If there are other areas to deal with matters to constitutional change, let us have the normal process to deal with it, because there are those BBI processes which never see the light of the day. It can be brought back and a process can start. And we all know where it can start and how the process goes. But let us not put many hard issues that will not see the light of the day and will make this committee difficult for them to also iron what they are mandated to.
And Honorable Alai, I do not know whether you will agree with me, but it looks like there's a deliberate, I don't want to call it attempt, but move across the Kenya Kwanza side as well as the Azimio side to scaffold this political process that appears to be the one that will at least bring a truce and some bit of calm in the country. To imagine that we're going to wake up to Maandamano Monday again scares the hell out of us. Look at the cartoon edition. And the question is, who is ticking? Is it Baba, or is it the time, or is it the clock? While the president is there, a little bit worried on how he steers the country forward with Maandamanos every day.
No, I don't think that either the president or my party leader is very much interested in the street protest. I don't think that any one of them is just interested in the street protest.
But are they interested in these talks genuinely?
I think it's a means towards a very viable end for all of us. They're interested in the talks, the two of them. The problem is that when you leave, sometimes politicians not to focus on the bigger picture, they might try to derail. It might be an ego contest, and the ego contest, because you realize that the president is not in the parliament, but also the party leader, Azimio leader, is also not in parliament. So the two of them not being there, unlike before where the president was an elected MP and the opposition leader was also elected MP, they would have been easily controlling the troops. But now they give advice to the troops. Maybe what the troops do, because they're in parliament, is different from what they have been instructed. And sometimes they're just trying to flex muscle. Sometimes somebody is just flexing to show that he's the chairman, is the person who is closer to the president, who's closer to the Azimio leader, and so on. But the wananchi is suffering. Some things which I know is that the issue of IBC, we need to rethink it, and it's good for all of us that it is not fair for one party to decide on the constitution of the IBC without the involvement of the others. The issue of the cost of living, we need to take it seriously to ensure that the cost of living is manageable. Even while we are discussing that, we are seeing the attempts to increase taxes on the basics, which are going to influence the cost of living. I wish that if we were to address those two, and then we agree that, we are not going to talk about, people, when we talk of servers, people think of physical servers.
But what are these servers? Tell us, what are they? Because even the government says they do not understand what exactly you people are asking for.
The server here is not the physical ICT infrastructure.
It is the
electoral process.
Okay.
Can we review and audit? And this one, any reasonable person will say that tumefanya hiyo process. Let's audit it. Let's audit it.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be the physical server. Just say that, was the voting done right? Why did 8 million Kenyans stay away from the ballot? Why did we spend so much to conduct the election? Why are we having a cry over physical server? It's a electoral process. You open it up and you say that Kenya, you can appoint the people you want to audit it. You can either go with a corporate body, or you say that eminent Kenyans to do it. But let's audit the process. The server we are talking about is not the physical infrastructure.
Okay.
It is the electoral process.
Do you think you understand what Honorable Alai is saying in terms of exactly what the server then is? I mean, it's not a dark room, they say. It's not the, electronic process, he says, but basically the electoral process itself. Just how realistic and practical is that?
One thing, it has not been so clear, and then the Camera has never stated the explanation here is given. Because once you say open the server, and if you don't open the server, it means